joining us on the Daniel Parker Show. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to do your research. And also, click the like button.
Welcome to the last series of Guide Dogs versus WhiteCanes. Wanted to do it earlier, but due to the fact that things happened the way that it did not happen the way it's supposed to, finally got around to doing it, and I want to thank Scott for making it happen for me one more time. My name is Anthony Parker. For those who aren't aware, I am representing the Parker Daniel Show and whatnot. But today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about guide dogs, and we have a specialist, should I say, Scott, who's actually raised guide dogs, and he can give us some real in-depth information about how the process works and everything. And I'm very much interested in hearing about it because I've gotten a lot of information from individuals on Facebook talking about guide dogs, why they use guide dogs, why they use canes, people's own preferences, and we've even had individuals on here who have voiced their opinions, and that's their opinions. But Scott, I know he's excited because he's about to get a guide dog, and I heard one of his I was on a thing called Varel, and I heard one of his should I say questions or views or whatever in reference to guide dogs, and he's gonna fill us in right about now from the great state of Florida. Again, we get a lot of people from Florida. We're gonna bring you Scott. What's up, Scott?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Man, I'm glad to have you here, man, for real. Of course, you know, we're talking about guide dogs and whatnot, and you are an expert, should I say, on guide dogs, from raising them, from dealing with the different type of schools and everything like that. So with that being said, why don't you give us a little history about yourself and then ease your way into the discussion. Thanks again, man.
Sure. Well, I'm 47 years old, and I'm not new to, vision loss or blindness. I have been dealing with it for quite a few years, and it's been a slow, long, progressive thing that's been happening. And luckily, luckily I've adapted well to it, and I'm in the last stages of it. And in advance of doing that, I'd always wanted to get a guide dog, so I decided to do some puppy raising early on. And, I did it for about 7 years, and it was very interesting, a lot of fun. And, I really much enjoyed doing it, and it helped to prepare me for what I'm about to embark on, which is to get my own dog. Okay.
And you are totally blind, or you say you have some light perception?
I have light perception.
Okay. Now, so the people can know, give us, you said raising guide dogs, or raising the puppies who would later on become guide dogs was a very interesting situation. Give us some insight into what you had to do and what was the interesting factor. What did you enjoy?
Well, I started them with when they were about eight weeks old, and from there you had to teach them. First thing was teach them their name and know and housebreaking. Those are the three most important parts. And you're pretty much laying all the groundwork throughout their whole many months with you. It's about 18 months long they spend with you. And you end up, doing a lot of different things with them as far as introducing them to stores and people, as well as to traffic and all different environments so that they're, accustomed to it. So when they're older and, being an actual guide dog in their later years, they're actually well adapted and able to function well in those situations.
Okay, that's interesting for me. I may sound ignorant, but so what? I didn't know that they did those. They introduced them to like traffic and stores and all this other stuff. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't thinking correctly, but and that does make sense to get them acclimated. So because so they can won't be afraid and whenever they encounter such situations as this. So what else what were there any specific type of dogs that you all dealt with in raising from puppy into dogs?
Well, I did a couple of black labs, a yellow lab, a golden retriever, and then I had one that was just a short time with me. I think I had, there was a couple of black labs that were with me, and a couple of goldens. I'm sorry, one golden, and then there was one that was a goldador. But that was kind of a short-lived thing.
Okay.
It was just a short time with them because I was taking over for somebody else that couldn't complete their commitment.
And another question is, do they prefer certain dogs over other type breeds of dogs for training purposes? And if they do, why?
They do because of the way that they that their mental processing is, and the way that they adapt to things. They want them a mild-mannered dog, and very well adaptable to many different situations and high stress and stuff like that. So I mean, they breed them on their own. At least most of the schools that I know of. All the ones I've researched and the one that I've applied to, as well as the one I was a puppy raiser for. They do all their own breeding programs and have their own lines of breeding that they do. So they know where the roots come from for these puppies.
Okay. And are they, say for instance, like when using certain type of dogs for certain type of people, or certain type of people who have like various types of impairments, are there like, say for instance, like special types of dogs that are used for this impairment, special type of dogs that are used for this impairment, or are labs used all across the board?
I don't know. I think they use a lot of labs, but I mean, they do use some German Shepherds at some schools. I know there's one school that uses boxers and Dobermans as well.
Okay.
Some schools do standard poodles because of allergies for some people that can't have a dog.
Okay.
They're hypoallergenic, so.
All right. And
so I mean, as far as impairments, I'm not certain on that. Sorry.
And the process of training dogs, are there any dogs that don't make it through the school? And if there are some that don't, what do they actually do with the ones that don't make it? And as far as going into the being assigned a person.
Well, they'll do either career change or ambassadors, or they'll adopt them out.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's one of those items. So either they'll become a cross-trained dog for the Department of Drug Enforcement, DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, sorry. Could be search and seizure for the police department, or FBI. They do all different kinds of jobs. Search and rescue, wildlife. They'll go to work for the wildlife reservations.
Okay. And
all kind of different things.
And the dogs, the puppies, I'm going back to the puppies, are they raised at the school, or someone else raises the dogs and they donate them to whatever school, and then y'all take it from there, or how does that work?
They have kennels right on site in most schools, or right nearby, where they actually do all the fornicating and the breeding and raising of them all the way up to the 8-week mark, or whatever time frame they decide to wean them away from the mother and send them on their way. And then they go to a volunteer's home. So it's a non-paid position. They cover all the vet bills, but it's like my responsibility was for transportation, for feeding, and spending time with them, and any extra stuff I wanted to buy for them was up to me.
Okay. And this may sound like a silly question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway because people probably want to know which females or males make couldn't put in a, I'm just waking up, make the best, which sex makes the best breeding, the females or the males, if that's
they're both. I mean, they're both equal. I mean, you get they all have different personalities, so none of them are exactly the same. So you might get a little little something different in each one you get.
Right.
But as far as personalities, I mean, it doesn't really have any determining factor in it. Yeah.
Okay. And how do y'all, this is very interesting. I got tons of questions, but how do y'all pair the dogs with the partners? Do they come in for any type of training as well, or how do y'all, because I might be an individual who may be, one who likes to walk fast or walk slow. How do y'all make sure that the pairing is straight?
Well, they do what I just went through, which was a home evaluation and a Juno walk, which Juno is a Greek goddess of marriage, and that's what they call the Juno walk. They're trying to marry you with the proper dog. So when you do your Juno walk, they're looking for all kinds of things: your spatial awareness, how well your mobility is, how fast you walk, and what kind of pull you need to feel comfortable while walking, because the dog pulls on you. They want to have you adjust your grip and see how you adapt to giving directions and corrections and instruction to a pretend dog. Right. The actual trainer there walking with you.
Okay.
And I mean, there's all kinds of different things that they look for. I'm not even sure exactly what, but then as you get to the school, they do more Juno walks and try to pair you more when you arrive there for your match with your dog that they believe they have for you already. But
Okay,
there's
so
usually a few different matches.
I'm sorry. You had some more, sir?
No, that's it.
So once they do that, the Juno walk, then that's when they bring you to the school and do the extra training.
Yeah, like right now, I'm all approved. I'm just waiting for one test that I had to have done to come back for medical purposes, and that's a tuberculosis test to make sure that I'm negative, and I'm sure I am. I'll find out tomorrow, but that's the last thing I need, and they should match me with a dog, and I should be in class in March. But they determine your personality and all these different factors, like how fast you walk and what your personal needs are, if you have any special needs, which I don't. And then they determine what dog is going to work best for you, and they'll pair you up.
And once that's situated, how do the person have to pay for the dog in terms of, a certain fee or anything like that? Or how's that taken care of?
The school that I chose, they issue the dog to you. It's somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 dog, and the total cost for me is $150. That's
all?
The school that I chose. It's a one-time fee. That's all they charge, and it just goes towards whatever it goes towards. I'm not even certain. They don't explain why, but they've always charged a small fee, and I think it goes towards the equipment they give you, like as far as a harness and a leash and stuff like that.
So it must be some type of application that you have to fill out before you actually can get. Can you say the dog's it costs $100,000 dog due to the training and all that? So is it like a process to determine whether Anthony's he is qualified for a dog, or XYZ is qualified for a dog? Who actually pays? And I know you said it's only $150. Where is the other? The money comes from any other persons to help take care of the cost, or is it just that $150? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, the initial process, the application process, is a lot of different steps, and it's many steps all the way through. So the first thing is filling out a paper application for your request, telling them a little bit about yourself, and then you have to have three. Once that's in and they approve it, you have to have 3 references and fill out a travel form. Personal travel form. How you get around and what's in your neighborhoods and how you travel around. And they want you to be very specific and lengthy in your answers. And there's like 10 questions on there. And then the next step after that is the home interview and Juno walk. After that is medical forms. After that is transportation information, so that when they send you tickets to fly you to the school and back home again, they need to know just a little bit of information, what airport you're leaving from and which one you're going to drive back to. And then pretty much it's just waiting for your match once they've approved you, and that's where I'm at right now, just waiting.
Okay.
And as far as, I'm sorry, what was your second question?
About
the dog. It's a philanthropic organization, so it helps those who probably could never afford a $100,000 dog or a $60,000 dog, and it makes it available by trust funds and private donations, and corporate donations, that's fundraisers.
Okay.
And so, a lot of people donate large amounts of money to put aside so they can live off, work off the interest and keep it alive and going. That's why the school I've chosen has been in business, for coming up the end of this month for 90 years.
Okay. And I'm quite sure there's some schools that are better than others, that train better, or how do you pick a school?
Well, you pick a school based on what you want out of a dog and what kind of training you want, because they all have different methods and different techniques. So there's that. There's the success rate that comes out of each school, which they're usually all pretty good. Just depends on what meets your personal likes and dislikes. Could be the location you may not like.
Okay.
Different options from each school.
Okay. Well, I have a question on me, because we can go on and on and on, because you're definitely doing a good job answering what the people probably want to know. Do you think, and you're about to get a dog, but I want your honest opinion, that with the emergence of IRA, and I don't really want to go into detail, but you're familiar with IRA, right?
Yes.
Do you think that with the emergence of that guide dogs are going to become obsolete?
No, I don't think so at all. Not at all. IRA is a great tool, but it does come with a pretty high-end cost if you're going to use it all the time for something like that. and not everybody's prepared to pay for that every month.
Gotcha.
It's can be kind of costly. I mean, there are lower packages plans, but if you want to use more than what you have allowed, you know, a dog eats a little bit of food and requires a little bit of time, and well, I'm sorry, a lot of time. But it is your partner and your good friend, and you know, you build a bond together. So I think the difference in it is you don't have to pay as much for a dog, I don't think, in most cases.
Right, and that's what, you know, I ran across that question today, and you definitely answered it, you know, the way that I thought would be the answer. So with that being said, what actually allowed you just to choose a guide dog versus just, you know, using a cane or what have you, if I may ask?
Well, it's a little bit faster and a safer travel method using a guide, I believe, in my eyes. So using a cane is more bump and go, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of know where you're going. You kind of find something, you work your way around it. The dogs work a little smoother. They kind of just bring you around it. You don't have to, like, you know, find it and then work your way around it and be a little clumsy around it or anything like that.
Okay.
They get you around obstacles safely. Things that may not usually be there, they're going to bring you around and keep you from getting, you know, injured or hurt.
And
so, yeah.
And once you well, how long is the span of using a dog, the lifespan, I guess, you know, of using a guide dog? And that's one question. And once you through using the dog for guiding purposes, what happens next?
Well, it's 5 to 8 years working time. So the dog might retire when they're 10 years old, maybe a little sooner, depending on health conditions and, you know, what happens in their lives. But I think the most duration is probably about 8 years working. And what happens next after they're done working?
Yeah.
Well, with the school that I go to, you own the dog the second you leave that school. It's yours to do with however you feel. You can keep them as a second pet if you're capable, or you can find somebody that would enjoy it that you know. The school, I think, will assist with rehoming if you chose. Yeah, it's just completely up to you. Depends on how close or far you want them to be from you.
Okay, and you're allowed to go see them after you retire them, so?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it depends on who they give them to. They might give them back to a puppy raiser, or it depends on how they work it, you know. Okay.
Well, Scott, man, you are very versed on this subject. I wish you the best of luck. I mean, you were very happy when I contacted you about getting a guide dog, and I'm happy for you. And I have a couple of friends who have guide dogs and things of that nature. They, you know, and I don't know. I never thought about getting one and whatnot, but I wouldn't be opposed to getting one now because I've heard so much about them and what have you. But man, I'm glad that you had come on and had given us this information. Is there anything you'd like to close with that you want to tell the people?
Well, I think whenever you're choosing a guide dog school, make sure you do your research as much as you can. Take it all in, and make sure that using a dog is for you, because it's not for everyone.
Okay.
It's a lot of responsibility and care.
Okay. Well, y'all heard that, and this actually concludes the series on guide dogs. So y'all have to call anymore or send any comments about, you know, do some shows on that. So we've concluded that, and I wanted to end it with this, and that's a banger and whatnot. Scott definitely answer any questions. If y'all have any more comments, you know, put them in the comments. I'll be glad to relay it to him. But I'm glad for him. He's about to get his dog. You should have it in how many months, Scott?
Probably looking early spring. They're talking March, I think, but all depends on the match.
Okay. Well, I know everything's gonna work out for you and whatnot, because you know exactly what you're talking about. So with that being said, I want to tell my subscribers to continue to subscribe to the Parker Daniel Show. Continue, hit that notification bell, hit the like, comment, share, and tell a friend. So with that being said, I would like to again thank Scott for coming on and giving y'all this information. And I am out.
Thanks, guys.